creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. And yes, it is correct. You don't see my voice. You see two six-sided dice and a Google Doc. We're going to get into more detail with this. Uh, Better to maybe listen in than to watch something exciting, but we're going to talk about the dice mechanic that has been altered and is still undergoing development for the Obsidian Star tabletop role-playing game. It's science fiction, post-humanism, and all that. And through this design, I'm going to express to you the choices that I made, so that if you are a game designer or you have some choices in your game, you can decide how you want to make them. But first, intro, please. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to this week of game design. To be honest with you, and to show off some, mechanisms. And one of the great things that I've learned from, in terms of listening to other creators in the tabletop role-playing space, is basically the reasons why. Like, why include a rule? Why didn't someone include a rule? Why make the choices that we have, whether it's through design of the setting, which is always fun. I love world building. And then also the mechanics. Why make the choice to have a design mechanism in a world mechanically, and how does that feature in? And we all know that in tabletop role-playing games, there is this, what I'm calling art and science, which is what this system is. What do you mean? Yeah, you're a mod. Unless calling you standard is some kind of like a lower tier value. Maybe I can bump you up there a little bit. I will knight thee. But anyway, the fun and great and hilariously bizarre space that we fit into in a tabletop role-playing space is like it's like being an architect and a dancer. It's like being a comedian and a professor. It's like it's combining some of the best and nerve-wracking parts of being an artist, in which case everything that you do is subjective, and then being into science and math and structure and foundation, which puts you into an objective category, and blending both of those two together, and then letting other people do it day one, first take, and then being judged on that. So yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize there were. I don't see what the notifications look like on my end, which is a shame. I feel like creators should get like a little window into what other people see. So these are a number of. I'm going to show you a number of documents. No big deal. To make this simplified, but first, today we're going to talk about simply the dice mechanic, and the dice mechanic is, again, very simple. It is 2 dice 6, and we're rolling 2 different dice. And again, to make this clear, this is science fiction. We are in our own solar system, and I wanted to have this, despite this being a science fiction game, I understand the propensity is to get down to the very nitty-gritty details of what science is supposed to be, by having long lists and things like that. And that's not where I wanted to sit. I want this game to sit into a space, into speculative fiction. I want to embrace the what if of a world, including all of the air quotes problematic elements of dealing with such a thing, whether it is when technology, but not just bumps up against, but starts shattering our notion of what it means to be human, what it means to have ethics and morality, and where do we stand. And so that's where I am with these dice. Oh, hey. So Obsidian Star, I'm calling it the art and science, and it is both narrative fiction, which you're gonna hear me say narrative elements or fiction first, or what have you, and science, which is basically the math. How do we deal with that? And taking very complex things and turning them into numerical values. So one of these dice is progress, the other one is setback, and you're going to roll both of them. One is in your favor, the other one is not. I was married to the D12. Yes, these are D12 polygons, but they are only D6 dice. I was married to the idea of using D12s, and I had to drop it. I had to kill my darling. I was using numbers that didn't matter. I don't want the game to be about number hunting, and D6 was the first of all, it's easy to get a bunch of cubes, right, from anywhere, any place, and it's very easy to get them looking different or just assigning them different values, rolling one as progress first and setback second. But I also wanted to allow, I didn't want the numbers to get in the way. So when you start adding a numerical value of 1 or 2 to a D6 system, it's extremely, it alters the probabilities extremely. When you, as opposed to, let's say, a D20, you're modifying the values by 5%, which isn't much. With a D6 system, you're modifying the values by 13% or so, whatever. Oh, there! Thank you very much. Yeah, these are D12. I've got a look. I got a bunch of them, but yeah, yeah, they're kind of cool. They're kind of cool, and they do have a little bit of like the continuous rolling thing that you can't really get with cubes, even though these are all D6s. But yeah, it's fun. But anyway, one is progress, the other one is setback, and you absolutely want to have your progress be ahead of your setback. So if we just roll these dice, okay, you two stay here. I'm going to move you guys out of the way. If we just have the two dice, numerically, over time, you're just going to end up equalizing yourself. You're never going to get ahead. It'll be one step forward, one step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, and it's going to be that over and over and over again. So, yeah, D10s. There's some kind of through polygonal studies, which I am not familiar with. The D10 isn't a natural polygon. It is not a shape that has it's some kind of geometric or mathematical thing that the D10 is not a natural polygonal shape, because it doesn't have the same shape all the way around. It's something like that. But I like D10s. Yeah, there's a lot of systems that use D10s as well. They're kind of cool. So for progress and setback, you're basically going to roll the dice, and one will be higher than the other. Usually, they will either one will be higher than the other, or you're going to get doubles. They're going to be equal. So in this case, what happens when you do that? Well, of course, you always want your progress to be high. But what happens with the other die? So essentially what's happening is when you roll the dice, progress is going to be your numerical value that's going to reduce something you're going to hear me call this a dilemma in front of you. Problems and solutions. I was going to call it problems and solutions, but it's not really problems, it's more dilemmas, if that makes sense. You're going to want to confront your dilemmas. And so numerically, if you rolled a 6 and a 5, a 6 on progress and a 5 on setback, there's a couple choices you can make. Now, if when you roll the dice, either your progress is going to be high, setback is going to be higher, or you're going to roll doubles. And in this case, you're either going to get progress high, setback high, or doubles will double. So if you roll double sixes, this numerical value is going to double to 12. All right. But what do you do with the dice? And this is where I love player choice. And yes, this act will slow down the game, but I want this choice to slow down so that we can have what I'm including is a fruitful void. The choices that the players make, along with the game master and their allies, is the drama that I want to see at the table. So this is where the slowdown comes in, where the stars, will get to choose what they're going to do with the dice. So one thing that you can do is subtract one from the other. You're going to mitigate. You're going to subtract progress from setback. Now, of course, this will come out with a positive number or a negative number. In this case, it'll be a positive number, which means if you subtract one from the other, you're going to get a positive one, which means you're only going to progress one. You're going to basically mitigate your setbacks through your progress. And so if we roll again, my character, what I'm trying to do, if I subtract 4 from 6, that means I suffer a setback of 2, total of 2. And again, if we want to mitigate these die rolls, ooh, you see how hard that, if I subtract 1 from the 6, that means I get a setback of 5, and that's horrible because that means my setback. So this is the die you don't want them to be high. This is the one you do. But what happens in that case? Well, you can also make the choice. You can go all in. I need to find another way to describe this, but you can take the totals of both. So in this case, I may want to progress forward by 1, and I use progress to reduce my dilemma, and then I suffer a setback of 6. And again, if I roll the dice, wow, I'm not very lucky. I can take this total of 1 and use that to make forward progress, and then I suffer a setback of 4. And again, rolling the dice, I can take this, and instead of mitigating, I could be all in. Look, I want to take this 4, progress forward, but I'll take a setback of 5. In the narrative, in the fiction, if I use my first choice, mitigate, it's like, I want to subtract 1 from the other. Fine, I don't get any progress, but I will take a setback of 1. That means I'm being careful. Maybe I'm sensitive to the situation. Maybe my allies are offering a better help than I could in that situation. Whereas if I'm all in, I'm like, look, I'll take whatever harm is coming to me, but I want to be able to progress forward. It's the proverbial I cut the rope or chain to let my allies escape, progressing my allies forward maybe, but then I suffer a setback. In the case of rolling, here we go. In the case of rolling a 6 and a 1, you might go, ooh, that's too much to take. But you know what? I really want to use that high roll. I really want to do that. That means you can choose to use the setback. And in this case, you'll add baggage. We'll get into what baggage is and what setbacks even mean in this game and what the hell is a dilemma. These are all capitalized letters. So capital S setback, capital D dilemma, capital P progress. These are mechanical features. And lastly, you can create a dilemma where the GM gains control of dilemma versus the constellation. A constellation is all the stars. So one player is a star. Many stars are a constellation. So the choice literally is mitigate. So subtract 1 from the other and take whatever result that is against you or for you, but it's mitigated. You're lowering it down. You can be all in and take the totals of anything that you roll, positive and negative. You can use your setback. Oh man, my progress die is low, like here, and instead I'd rather just use the setback and take whatever result there is, which is called baggage, and or create a dilemma. And that sounds like a lot of choices, but I believe it will become very natural in the game. Math Monday, the ultimate head. Fuck yeah, you're right. You're funny. D12 should be named Dodecanes after the 12 islands in Greece. I didn't know that. I'm not sure about that. Do, uh, they're non-polygon. I can't remember the title. Yeah, non-polygon. Yeah, kind of sad. Dehedrons? Dehedrons? I can't remember. I don't know the name of them. Yeah, I didn't kick out the baggage. I was going to call them burdens, but I like the word baggage because there's a I believe there's a commonality in the term using the term baggage. Okay, so art and science. What the hell does even rolling a dice even mean? The art part of this is the fiction, the narrative, the stresses that are created. So if I roll 2 dice, let's get these centered out here. So I rolled a 4 for my progress and a 3 for my setback, which means, I got to make a choice. Do I want to use the full 4 to solve the issue and then suffer the 3 for myself? That means I'm all in. Do I want to mitigate the damage that I'm doing to myself and others? Like, no, you know what? I'm just gonna 1 subtract from the other. Okay, that means I'm out with a positive 1 progress. I'll just do 1 progress to get this negotiation, trade negotiation, or gunfight, or reprogramming, or hacking, or sneaking into the complex to be on my side, right? Or I can say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use I want to use the setback. I rolled a 6 and a 2, and we really need to defuse the bomb. So you know what? I'll take whatever. That's going to work against me, but I gotta succeed. So instead, I suffer some kind of a condition. I have to carry more baggage with me. And then lastly is create a dilemma. And what happens when you create a dilemma is the game master gets this numerical value, and essentially gets the numerical value and a setback die. So where progress is in the hands of the players, the setback is in the hands of the game master. So players get to decide how and why and in what manner do they progress forward. It's progress. It's like, hey, listen, I'm a badass. I get to do this thing. I'm the hero of the story. I'm the star, right? But the game is called Obsidian Star. So what is the Obsidian? Well, the Obsidian is for the game master side. That's where they get to complicate your life and create dilemmas for you. The reason why I'm using the word dilemma is because combat in this game is exactly how trade negotiations are, social interactions, exploring the world, emotional setbacks. All of that is used exactly the same. So while one player might be in a gunfight and you want to describe your character being Billy Badass with a gun and knife fighting bad guys, another player might be going through some emotional turmoil because of trauma or past experiences, or working through being a double agent or what have you, and both can work simultaneously at the table with equal amounts of progress and setback in what they're dealing with to overcome the dilemma in front of them to gain success. So while on one hand, you could, one player can very much be like, look, I'm out to just like wreck fools, and I want to roll dice and wreck fools. Ooh, double ones. That's not really good. Let's see, since double's double, that is a result of 2, both for a character and against a character. We'll talk about doubles in a minute. Whereas another player might want to delve into like their relationship with an unrequited love. Maybe someone they want a relationship with and doesn't recognize them, or doesn't remember them because their memories were hacked, or doesn't recognize them because they're in a different body, a different jacket. Maybe their mind, their zipper, zippers, zip drive, thumb drive, their brain has been stolen or something like that, and they're trying to deal with that trauma of finally finding a lost love, only to realize that that lost love really isn't them anymore in the traditional sense, because technology has destroyed them. And both can take place completely in the game simultaneously, back and forth, what have you, right? I want that to be in the game, and that's the art. So let's get into the science. The science are numbers. You're funny. Stresses baggage is way cool. Gotta keep it, like that Offspring song. Leave your baggage at the door. About effed up girlfriends is good. I'll be unintentional pop culture reference. Yeah. For those who do not know, baggage. I'm glad I did this. Okay. We are moving down into some of the stats for the game, and I'll move to the second part first, which are called assets. In this game, you have something known as assets, and assets are like all your positive traits. If you really want, I was going to call it gear, but it sounded, I didn't want it related to hoarding, going shopping, walking around with big, grenades and laser rifles and things like that. I wanted assets to be everything that's good in your life. So maybe that modified laser rifle with the X-ray scanner on it and all that maybe that is a good thing in your life. But also assets can be family and friends. It's your knowledge. It's your experiences. It is the unlocked hidden code in your brain that was downloaded 27 years ago that you didn't realize on a separate mission, but because your first clone body was killed and you've been reactivated and dumped, the nasty goo was dumped off your body, and you get to pull the tubes out of your throat while you retch, and you get the point, right? Assets are all the good things, even if you didn't realize they were good to begin with. Those are all your good things. Your assets, you have a maximum number of slots or pockets for your assets. Now, your assets are gear. They are gadgets, gear, devices. They can be physical things. They can be mental things. They can be social things. They can be emotional assets for you. And because of the post-humanism, transhumanism element of the science fiction, you have a mind and a body. And your mind is your zipper. Your body is your jacket. So you get to zip into your jacket. That's where the tongue-in-cheek part comes from. You got your zipper, you got your jacket. So your zipper is your mind, and you'll get to pick. I'm going to show you a list of these. You get to pick an adverb and a verb. I know it sounds strange, so instead I use the term method and action. So you get to pick your methods, and you get to pick your actions, and that describes your character. Because in this world, I started with like a giant skill list, and I went, it doesn't work. If you have all human knowledge, like a cell phone, in your brain with a highly advanced emulation telling you what you can do, and then allow your body to flow with that information so that if you wanted to do brain surgery, you could, how do you reconcile that in a game? And I just decided, you know what, I'm not even going to have skill ranks. So there are no skill ranks. There's no skill like +1, +2, +3. You either have the asset or you don't. And if you do have the asset, it helps you add to what you're going to do. So characters, instead of having skills in this game, you have how you approach a dilemma, your methods, and your action in doing so. So it's like an approach, a method, and an action. And so you have, every character has approaches, and that's like everybody approaches problems differently. And so you're going to do it. And I did a return back to Vector, Arc, and Access. I did the 3 Fs. I did Force, Flex, Fulcrum. But another game is also using Force, Flex, Focus, and in a similar manner. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Also, because there's going to be vehicles, and vehicles use Vector, Arc, and Access, I decided to just use, instead of switching it around and things meaning the same thing, and I was like, no, let's just go back to Vector, Arc, Access. So, let me see what you guys have to say so that I stop stammering, because I am very much stammering. What do you do when you find your lost love and she's stuck in under the giant muscle man zipper? You close your eyes and go for it, using lots of lube, I guess. But no, but that's actually a possibility. I know you're being funny and sarcastic, and it could be a funny interaction. But yes, it is true that that thing can happen. As a matter of fact, I was writing a little short story fiction where a soldier fell in love with the awakened AI system in his tank and was trying to get his AI system back from his tank because the the tank system didn't run well without him, and he wanted to get it back and turn this program into a physical body so this person could be with him. Assets work. Good life. You're so wrong. Hey, salam and good morning. Well, assalamu alaikum. I believe that's may. What does it? May peace be with you, and with you be peace. Good morning, there, Shinobi. So for character creation, this is the numerical. This is the science of the art and science. Okay, so we'll be rolling 2d6 and figuring out what to do and how to modify the dice. So when I talked about rolling the dice, without modification, no matter how many times we roll this, over time, we're just going to go into equilibrium. Some will be high, some will be low. We'll progress forward, we'll progress backwards, but we'll get into equilibrium. Yeah, it says wasn't sarcastic. Seems like there might be lots. Yeah, seems like there be lots of situations in Obsidian where your old girlfriend needs to drop into a muscle man zipper. Oh hell yeah, and back and forth, right? And this is a perfect example. Thank you very much for bringing this up. In where technology will slam up against our ethics and morality, like something like sexuality. Okay, so when we become digital information and you can download and zip into any body, any jacket that you like, and you have a love for someone, how much does their physical appearance, no matter how temporary or permanent they are in that body, how much does that matter to your desire to be with that person? That's the question. That's not for me to answer, but this game delves into that. So for people who are have a hard time with gender politics or something, this game is going to really upset you very much. So there's going to be a huge mature themes only for this and things like that. Says it's been a minute since I've been here. Are you switching from D12 to D6? Yeah, I sure am. So in short, listen, I was attached to the D12s for a long time, and then I realized I'm not really concerned with the numbers. The numbers aren't the important part. It's the resolution of the numbers. So, and I didn't want number hunting, so the D6s turned out to be a lot better. Because it's very easy to find D6s. The modifiers to the D6 are very low, so you have what they call bounded accuracy. So a +1 or a +2, +3 adds a 13%, 15, 18% chance for every +1 modifier, 17%, it's something like that. Whatever. Each bonus is massive. So a character who let's as an example is a medical doctor, and your character knows medicine, having a +1 is a huge bonus of some sort. But this isn't a skill-based system. So for example, let me share this screen out instead. Here is the original Google Doc that I've had to truncate down, and I'm still trying to shrink it down even more. But it's 2d6 system, and one is a progress die, one's a setback die. So when you roll the dice, progress, usually the lighter die because it's called Obsidian Star. That's your progress. That's your setback. You're going to have 4 choices. You can either mitigate your chances by subtracting one from the other and resolving this whole situation that you're in by taking the least amount of either side. So in this case, I rolled a 4 progress and a 6 setback, so if I subtract one from the other, that means I suffer a setback of 2. If I roll again, let's see if it comes out to be the same thing. Yep, setback of 1. If I mitigate, I'm going to mitigate again. I have a progress of 3. Okay, so that's one choice. Or I can maximize. I can go all in. So which means I take the total of this without rolling again. I can take a total of 6 progress. So I'm going to solve my dilemma by taking 6, but I also suffer a total of 3 setback. Now we're going to get into what does that mean? Like what is progress, setback, progress, and all that kind of stuff. So these are the dice and die rolling. Obsidian Star uses 2d6, 2 6-sided dice. Each should differ in some way. One die is the progress die, the other is setback. Rolling doubles the progress, applies setback, and adds baggage or a dilemma, player choice. So, again, progress is 1d6, and you use that. And what happens is progress, here's, if I can relate this to your average Dungeons and Dragons or other tabletop role-playing games, progress is like damage. Okay? So, in this case, I rolled a 6. I'm doing 6 points of damage. Here's the deal. It's not always combat. Progress is dealing with a dilemma. What is a dilemma? A dilemma is a numerical value you're trying to reduce to 0. Is that hit points? Yes, but no. Because what if you're having family drama with your 2 dads and 3 moms in this game? It is that relationship that you're having with your parents is a dilemma. Guess what else is a dilemma? 4 raging robots that are controlled by a central AI rampaging on the surface of the moon, and you're having a running gun battle while you dive into a shallow crater firing your X-ray laser at those. Those are exactly the same thing. One literally could be happening with one player character while the other player character is in a gun battle, and they are numerically we're having these happen at the same time. So dealing with your parents, family drama, or having a gunfight with a hive-minded AI trying to destroy you, the exact same thing. You're doing in that gun battle. Do you want to do 6 points of damage to one of those robots? You might be sure as hell. Yeah, I want to blow one of these. I'm going to get surrounded by 4 of them. I want to use the maximum, but what happens is your choice means you're also going to suffer a setback of 3. What is a setback? Setback is basically blowback. Setback is something happened in the narrative that is causing you harm. In this case, with progress being for the players, setback belongs to me, the game master. That means I get to decide. So if you suffer a setback of 3, well, maybe the robots launched some micro missiles at you and you barely dodged out the way and you suffered 3 points of damage. Whereas in your family drama, maybe one of your moms in your family collective that you grew up on a satellite around Saturn was just like, listen, you haven't been part of this family in a long time. You know, you're not part of our, I don't know, vast wealth from investing in ice hauling or something like that. And you have an emotional setback of 3. So both those things are, I wanted to include in the game. My mother killed me. Well, maybe not physically, but just thank you for going over all that. No, you're fine. What is death in a tabletop role-playing game? Now, we think of death as being like, my character got shot in the head, I'm dead and dying. The two are not the same. So, death in a tabletop role-playing game means you can't play your character any longer. That's what death in a role-playing game means. So maybe your character goes away depressed, or your character decides to stick with the family, or you decide to retire, or you've suffered some kind of trauma that means that you can't progress with your allies any longer, or your memory gets scanned and corrupted and you are no longer the same person with the same motivations. You're no longer part of your baggage delivery system anymore. Hell yeah. Yeah, damage could just be a baggage. Like you could just annoy people to death. The answer to that is yes, right? Maybe your character gets arrested. Maybe your character decides to unfortunately self-delete, right? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for noticing that, Karai. Says, that makes sense. So you're switching to this to make it so that that watch bonus has a greater impact on the narrative. Exactly. So in other words, what I'm when I come when it comes to numbers, right? Um, I don't. I would rather you find the number you want fast, a +1 or a +2, and get back to the game than trying to find six pluses, which changes the mindset to look for the number first instead of getting the hell back to the action of what the hell's going on. And that action could be family drama, or it could be a running gun battle, right? So either one. So I want you to be like, okay, oh, guess what? On my character, I have um I have running gun battle. Does that add? Yes, it adds a +1. Great. That gives me a plus 17% bonus to this thing that I'm doing, which makes me a badass over this other person. Let's get back to the action. Right? Shai says, good point. The opposite gender zipper thing totally makes sense in this context, and it enables Obsidian to be marketed as politically correct stuff without shoehorning. Yep, politics. Yep. That's exactly what I'm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what I'm going for. I don't want to avoid the politics, if you want to call it politics, which really, personally, it isn't politics. It's just it's the adult content in this game is not intended for like violence or sexuality or anything like that. The adult context in this is it's going to change your perceptions of what you think what human society should and shouldn't be. So if you're someone who is very gendered politically in whatever manner, this game is going to disrupt that no matter what side you're on. Okay, so it doesn't matter. If could you visit a space habitat of all Amazonian women? Yes, the answer to that is yes. And how do you feel about that? I don't know. You're the one playing the game. I'm just telling you, you're going to probably visit a place like that, and how do you feel about that? Whereas there might be a place you visit where all of the people are completely ungendered. How do you feel about that? I don't care, and I don't know. But this game is going to allow you to investigate your ethics and morality part of that. I'm just supposed to be talking about mechanics here. Sorry. Yep. I'm trying to look at some of your other comments here because you guys are brilliant. So being funny, yeah, my mom killed me. No, not literally, but game wise, yeah, you could be taken out by that. Hey guys, I can't show up. I've got some shit I got to deal with my family. That's exactly what that is. Okay, so we got progress, we got setback, but what is a dilemma? Okay, so a dilemma is when dilemmas come in a couple of forms. First of all, as a game master, I'm going to set up a ton of dilemmas in front of you. A dilemma is an obstacle you have to overcome. Most physical games, when I say physical, I mean like battle, gunfight, combat, science fiction, you get it, right? Alien starships, even though they're not really alien in this world. Let's think of Mothership, the role-playing game, right? In Mothership, you're absolutely positively going to go to abandoned space habitats and starships with experimental rampaging, robots and living organisms and things like that. And absolutely positively, that is part of this game. But a dilemma, again, can be anything. It can be psychological trauma. It can be a dilemma, could literally be a memory that's stuck in the back of your brain that you keep reliving over and over again. Like Jason Bourne, getting back his memory slowly. Those can be dilemmas. So, as a game master, I can set up a dilemma for a single player, for the whole group, for a few of the stars, for the entire constellation. That's what it is. But here's how dilemmas can also be made. If I roll the dice, let's see if it plays in my favor. So this slightly played into my favor. So progress of 2, setback of 4. But I really wanna hack the locked door to get into those secret documents or something like that. Hey, game master, or it's not really called a game master, it's called an admin in this game. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Admin. So the administrator, so I hand over the Ford. I say, guess what? I want to turn that into a dilemma. That means that your player character doesn't suffer a setback. And I'll tell you how you suffer a setback and have damage, baggage and things like that. But a dilemma now belongs to the game master, it belongs to the admin. Now I get the parameters of how that dilemma impacts the players and the world. So a 4, could that represent mercenaries coming to hunt you down? Could that represent a criminal faction coming to get their debt back? Could it represent a drone following you from a trillionaire who's watching their experiment live their life? Yeah, that's you, the player, and monitoring you from afar. Could that represent a string of explosives set around the haven that you broke into, that if you make the wrong turn, you're going to trip through the laser scanner and laser beam and set off the explosives? I don't know. You don't know. But if you're gonna give me, the admin, the dilemma, then I get to do what I want with it. I you know Can I turn it into Andre the Giant, your ex-girlfriend? Yeah. Yeah, that's what that is. Could I make that family drama? Sure. And of course, it'll be based on your character and the things that are listed. But that's what a dilemma is. Dilemma is basically handing over another problem to the game master. Um, and that dilemma now gets to be used by the game master in any way that I see fit. And mind you, you now know the numerical value of that thing. So it's above board. You rolled a 4, you hand it over, so the players know. So the other players could deal with that same dilemma. Hey guys, I'm pretty sure the people who are coming after me to bring me back into the mercenary group, the Black Sabers, they're gonna come after me, come running and gunning for me. And that dilemma could come up. Even though I never planned it, you as the player gave that to me, so now I get to include that in the game. So that's where a dilemma comes from. It's like, I don't want that setback. So as I roll down here, this is character creation. I don't know if you guys can actually see this or read this, but you know what? I'm going to switch these over. Switch these. Oh, that wasn't any better. Huh. No. I guess that's better. All right. I don't like the white on black, but I mean the white background. But anyway, under character creation, we have an approach, and an approach is how a star performs an action. Are they direct, using caution, or surveying the scene? The approach is a narrative feature. For each approach in action, the star isn't using the other approaches. So something I wanted to get rid of. Here's a mechanical thing I wanted to get rid of. I simultaneously wanted to get rid of rolling for initiative and perception. In role-playing games today, there are many initiative, like who goes first, when does someone act, how are they acting, and also perception checks and things like that. Let me go backwards. Let's deal with perception checks in fantasy gaming. So one of the horrible things about asking people to make perception checks is that the minute you ask someone to make the check, you're already alerting the players as to what the hell's going on, and it reduces the surprise of the check in the first place. right? It's kind of counterintuitive. Also, there's a propensity for modern gamers to want to ask for a perception check, or they roll the dice to make a perception check before the admin, the game master, the admin has even stated what the situation is in the first place. We're going to avoid all that. All that is going to be gone. All that is gone in the system. Here's another thing. Who gets to go first? Are you surprised? How fast do you move? All of that is going to be under player choice. So, under an approach, we have, here we go. Under an approach, we have 3 versions, and you get to, every character has these 3, and you get to put up to 3 positive points in a direction. In other words, as long as you only, at beginning player, you have a positive bonus of +3 amongst all 3 of these, you're fine. So you can have a vector of 2, an arc. So there's vector, arc, and access. Vector is direct, straightforward, pinpoint, forceful, unflinching, uncompromising. Arc is like circumvent, wide angle, circling around, avoidance, flow, acceptance, tiptoeing. And axis is like many viewpoints, threads, analysis, combined information, leverage, fulcrum. And so vector is like, I'm focused on one thing. Vector is like the sniper looking through their scope. Vector is looking someone in the eye and going, I'm a punch this dude in the throat. Vector is straightforward. I need to do this thing. I'm gonna block all distractions out to ensure that I get this thing done. Arc is like a little bit of, I'm cautious, but I'm trying to get around what I'm trying to do. I don't really want trouble. I'm going to maneuver. I'm going to feint. I'm going to flow with the action. I'm going to dodge around a little bit. And then axis is like, I want to survey the entire thing. I want to get all the information I can. I want to make sure I'm aware of everything. And so vector goes first, arc is second, axis is third. But as I'm describing it, if you are in vector, you will not notice details and you will be surprised. So vector is like, I need to concentrate on picking this lock. Leave me alone. Right? But that means you're not listening. You don't hear things. You're not noticing anything. Arc is like, you're generally aware of common occurrences. Like, I do hear footsteps and I do hear music and I do hear the grinding of the gears. I don't notice someone being stealthy or that hidden detail, but I'm being aware. Like, I'm looking around, make sure no one's sneaking up on me. And then axis is like, you're on high alert. You will notice small details. I did notice the scrapes on the floor. I did notice that someone else hacked this door before I got here. I wonder who it was. I am paying attention that, you know what? If I was a sniper, I'd probably be up on that ridge. I bet there's somebody up there. Right? And so, in this game, a star is assumed to be in their last approach used until the star gets to act again or notifies the admin of any change to an approach. So, even in downtime, you can say, you know what? I really need to decrypt this program. I'm vectoring my mind into trying to hack this program, to break the code on it. Well, you do realize you're not going to notice anything. No, I'm just my allies will worry about that. Me, I'm just going to focus on this one thing. And or you could say, you know, I'm going to be on watch. I'm going to get the hotel room in the building across the street and be on the balcony, and I'm going to watch to see if there's any drones flying around, and I'm going to listen in on the radios. I want to be on high alert. And you get to decide that, even if you're like, hey, I'm on the rest, but I'm going to put a gun under my pillow. So that's what that's about. Hey, Drew. Andre the Giant, my ex-girlfriend, is also a member of the Black Sabres. Hells yeah. Hell yeah. I don't know what that's called, right? Listen, I thought about that too. The differences between like, not the differences, but like, okay, well, what happens if one thing is different than another? Like, someone wants to portray a character that's both, uh, like focused but not focused. But I thought about that and I was like, no, 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 we're not doing that. You pick one, and stick with it, right? And this way, there's no die rolling. So, I don't want the die rolls. I think it's unimportant. Me as a designer, not every game, but myself as a designer, I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want. I There's no need to roll the dice, right, to find out who goes first, to do the thing about like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, roll initiative, everybody, and then write it down, and then you go first and do the thing, and then I get a bonus to my initiative. And blah, blah. No, 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 no. Just choose. Look, if you want to go first, but it's going to cost you. And the reason I set it up that way, again, I love players who have choice. I love me as a having played games for a long time. I don't want to hide anything from the players. Drew says, why would anybody outside of combat pick Vector? Because I'm glad you asked that. It makes perfect sense. So outside of combat, the reason is because will not notice details, will be surprised. So that means that, and I didn't write might be surprised, I wrote will. And the reason for that is, as a game master, if I decide to surprise the player, and you decided to be in a vectored approach, I get to decide as the GM, the admin, to surprise your character. You did not notice the sniper. You did not notice the orbital strike. You didn't notice the door slam behind you because you chose to be in that manner. So instead of me rolling dice to see if I surprise your character, and everybody knows there's surprise, and now you automatically know there's a surprise action coming because I asked you to roll the dice and blah. Let's get past all that. You're giving me permission. Here's the narrative fiction part coming in. If you're in Vector, hell yeah, you get to act first. But I also get to surprise you with an outside element you did not notice. So an example would be, you didn't notice there was a sniper, so I get to snipe at your character by adding that element into the narrative, even though I never told you there was something there before. I basically get to be, what's the term for it? I'm trying to describe it, and it's not working. When you're in a vector form, you notice whatever's in front of you, and you get to act on that first. Anything you don't notice, you don't get to act on that because you don't see it, you don't notice it. Now, mind you, you have other players at the table, so someone else can say, I'm going to be in Overwatch and I'm going to be in Axis, right? I'm looking at every angle. I want to know every XYZ. Now they get to notice the sniper. If you see what I'm saying? So now it's tactical, combat wise, it's tactical. So the player that notices the thing and the other player that's not going to notice the thing is like, I noticed it, so I need to help my player who now knows that they won't notice it and is like, holy shit, there's a sniper that's going to shoot me in the back of the head. Please please stop that person because I can't react to that thing. This is all above board. Everything I'm saying is going to be above board. None of this is going to be like, ha ha, got you, unless players want to do that. It says, give me a benefit for again. That is a great case to never pick Vector outside of combat. Give me a benefit for taking it outside of combat. I'll give that to you in just a moment. Funny. You guys are so funny. Yeah. I was just thinking it could happen. You're in Vector trying to pick a lock, but you got all kinds of other shit you have to do, and it's going through your mind at the same time you're vectoring. Yes. I want it to be a hard choice. I'd rather it be a hard choice. A good reason. Well, here, let's go here. because we're going to play with time. Here we go. And okay, so we have sacrifice. Shit, come on. We have sacrifice. And let me move this here first and then switch this over. So sacrifice is a collection of things that I've talked about a lot of times. Time, energy, resources. So life in, as I wrote, life in the sys is hard. The sys, S-Y-S, the system. Distractions abound. Humanity undefined. Temptations abound. New technological sentience are ascending. The vacuum of space is designed to kill fragile mortal flesh. Instead of rolling dice, the admin can impose a cost. The star must sacrifice 1 point for time, energy, or resources as warranted by the admin in a narrative. Space is sacrifice, and prolonged exposure to harsh environments wear down the most hardened void explorer. So, all actions in Obsidian Star are significant, dramatic, need adjudication from the admin, and or have a questionable outcome, will cost time, energy, and or resources. The admin has final say on the cost of any action, if any. So, for example, I could say, don't worry about it. You don't need to expend any resource. That's why the admin has a final say on the cost. So players shouldn't be proactively going, I'd like to spend this. The admin should say, no, this act, if you do this thing, it's going to cost you something. If a star has plenty of time, energy, and or resources, then no sacrifice is necessary. Do not roll the dice. And it literally means what it says. Listen, if you got enough time to do the thing, it doesn't cost you anything. If you're not tired and you got enough money, or you have enough reputation, or it's downtime and there's not really anything going on, it's not going to cost you anything. Space travel always costs you something. So what is sacrifice? Sacrifice, again, is time, energy, and resources. This is the equivalent of hit points. Okay, so energy in the middle here are like wounds, exhaustion, stamina, endurance, sleep, bruising, bleeding, burns. That's your physicality. Physicality in terms of like both exhaustion and being wounded and things like that. But something can cost you time. So the reason for picking like vector, arc, access, and being in one of those three categories outside of combat could be you're trying to solve something and you don't have enough time to do the thing. So do you want to be distracted while you decode the locked data core, or do you want to be focused on that thing? And myself as the admin, since the last time you handed me a dilemma, I can throw that dilemma at you in the middle of you doing your thing. So if there's constant pressure on you, do you want to get the thing done now, or do you want to keep one eye open because you're worried about this other thing, right? You're on a holographic voice call with your family, going through a dilemma with your family, and there's about to be a raging gun battle outside your door. You know, do you want to focus on your family drama now, or are you going to grab your laser rifle and have your family screaming in the ear of your lockdown helmet while you're fighting in vacuum, right? Those things could happen in the game, and depending on where you are at, you could ignore your family and be like, I need to focus on this gun battle, in which case the family drama of your family drama starts to suffer, and that dilemma starts to grow, and whatnot, or the opposite way. So if energy is like hit points, right? What are time and resources? So time, let me move down here. Time is something I feel is difficult to encapsulate in a game. So I decided to make time a character-controlled resource. So instead of us measuring physical time, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 3 rounds, um, 4 days. It's just going to cost time. And so let me read this first and then see if you guys understand it. So here's a special note on time. Time is like hit points for, well, time. Instead of measuring specific increments of the passage of moments, minutes, hours, or days, time is a score the players will sacrifice to complete a goal in a timely manner. When a star asks if there is enough time or the admin says a task requires time, the player can opt to sacrifice a point of time. Want to hack into a secure mainframe? Cost a point of time. Want to hit the thrusters to merge into the trade lanes around Saturn? Sacrifice time. Want to rush slide between closing blast doors? Mark off a point of time. Space travel? Always costs time. When time runs out, the star is besieged with every manner of events that stack together, converging at once in the star's life. Old debts, rivals, promises, broken gadgets, late arrivals, and more. Set an explosive? Doesn't go off as planned. Trying to find a safe haven? Not enough time to rest. So time won't give me time. This is a an image off of Canva that I have. It's a Martian. If you didn't know what that person looks like, it's probably a model doing some cosplay as an asset, but for me, it's a Martian. Time won't give me time. So time is a thing. Drew says, don't get me wrong, I like characters having dilemmas, but I don't think speed alone is a good reason to cripple characters' chances. No, it's not the only thing, because you have energy and resources. So those are, like I said, they're like hit points. So when there is a dilemma in choosing how long or how something is to be done or taking the time to do the thing, then what happens is players get to decide what's more important right now. Stop it. Stop it. Yeah. Says, I mean, if I take Vector for picking a lock fast to avoid being captured, just to have Vector will lead to my character being surprised sounds really counterproductive. Then don't pick that, right? That's like, I hear you, but you're answering your own question. Right? Like, if the thing sounds counterproductive, then don't do the thing. It's a choice. Players get to choose it. Also, it's assuming we're playing a one-on-one game, right? If you're alone, that's different than with you're playing with other players. Be creative, or be narratively focused, or be interact with the game as you would your character interact. Know that if you do this thing, there is no good choice, right? It's only a bunch of bad choices. Which one's the bad choice? And most of the time, it's like negotiations, right? If everyone's sad at the end of a negotiations, then the negotiations went well. So most players want everything to be on their side. Like, I want to pick the optimal thing to do. The optimal thing is what you think your character in the narrative would be. So there is no optimal choice. So I would never pick Vector since I see how it's not an optimal choice. It depends, right? It depends on the choices. That's assuming that I'm always looking for, or as a game master or admin or whatever, that every time you make a choice, I'm looking for the weakness in your choice. That's not always the case. It could be that you're making a choice assuming that I'm going to make a choice that's going to affect your choice, right? It's the I'm not going to make the choice because you're going to make a choice that's going to affect my choice, and rather than just making the choice, right? We can go back and forth, and that's the whole point. That's why it's a hard thing. You ever have those meme questions, and then people go, well, I need more information. Well, of course you do. That's what makes it a hard choice, right? So yeah, having something cost time, energy, or resources, that's up to the admin. and laying those things in front of you, and then you get to choose whatever that is, right? So something, let me move back up here to sacrifices. So something can cost you time, energy, and or resources. So for example, when you're rolling the dice, let me get these dice back up here. So when you're rolling the dice and you suffer a setback, first it comes off of your, if we were playing fantasy, it comes off of your hit points. Instead, your hit points are either time, energy, or resources. So I want to pick the lock. Ooh, I rolled double sixes. Damn. All right, so double's double. That means it's a 12. So, but what am I going to do in this situation? Well, if the lock's, the dilemma, my dilemma is picking the lock. And let's say the lock is rated at 9. Well, if I take this double and I double it to 12, I just pick the lock instantly. So it really doesn't cost me anything. But because it doubled up, I also have this 12 sitting there that's going to work against me. So what do I do with it? Do I suffer this as a setback? Now that setback subtracts from my character like hit points. If an explosion went off, I could suffer 12. The setback could cause me a loss of 12, which would be like suffering damage or something. This could come, maybe picking the lock. I have to pick the lock in enough time before the guards get there, in which case with doubling a 6 to 12 and the dilemma is like a 9, then I've already picked the lock. I don't even need to, it doesn't even subtract from time, but I could, as a result of that, hand that over to the admin, the game master, and go, listen, I don't want to have this subtract from time or energy or any of my resources. I'm gonna hand that numerical value over to the game master. You make that a dilemma, and that dilemma now belongs to the admin, which complicates the game. So each player gets to make one dilemma, and if that dilemma is resolved, they now have the option to make another dilemma, so they don't suffer any losses from that. But if they suffer setback, you can suffer a 12 setback, which honestly could kill your character, or get them out of the game, or you lose all of your time. The time score is not very high, so if you lose all your time, yeah, you got through the door, but if there's other things going on, I want to set off a bomb. Well, you're kind of out of time. It's not going to go off the way you think it will. That remembering your backstory that you wanted to, Haba the Jut is supposed to collect a debt from you. Well, they're probably showing up now. Or they've made a deal to work with the enemy to come after you or something of that nature, right? So that's where time comes in. Hey, do I make it through the door? You're out of time. Nah, the door shuts before you get there. Hey, I want to jump for both me and the enemy see a gun on the floor. We're both going to jump at it, right? And you can use time to modify that or mitigate that, or if there's a choice of like, I don't know, does it make sense for you to? There's a score in favor of the player until they're out of it, in which case it's in favor of the game master. And you get to pick and choose and oh yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Let's see, we can go back up here. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I see what. Yeah. DBJ says, DBJ, I think your idea is fascinating, but please try to understand that I'm telling you that your ideal can lead to lots of frustration and people completely not taking Vector ever. I agree with you. Okay. I guess this is a weird OSRism, but I don't want to mitigate too much frustration, and I get it. I do get it, right? And I agree there should be a reason for a player to pick such a thing, right? But it also means that it is uncommon today to have games in which there is a hard choice, and I don't want to eliminate that. So I'll take a second look at it. I'm not disagree. I'm not disregarding your criticism. I'm saying that I want built-in frustration. If that's weird to say that, because people that get frustrated with things will throw things. You get upset and they're like, "This is stupid. I'm never going to play this thing." Right? Um, which is true. Which is true. But listen, the OSR is built around some frustrations, which is weird to say. Um, Fantasy gaming. What do I carry? Can I defeat the thing? The thing is too tough. Should I run away? Those are frustrations. Choice vectors. Maybe that's the wrong word to use. Choice vectors. So a one player may go, why would I even be in vector? Whereas the two other players might go, no, you're the hacker. You need to focus on this damn thing. You're the pilot. You need to focus on this thing. Let the rest of us worry about all these other extraneous elements, right? And I want people to make that choice. Hey, I'm not normally the person who watches the rest of the group, but in this case, I will be that person because you need to focus on this other thing. Hey, I'm trying to think of something non-combat that a combat person would pick being vector. They're meeting with black market arms dealers or something like that, and the character that's the running gunner and who knows weaponry should be the one looking at the merchandise instead of the scientist who's watching the group, right? And we're doing a negotiation with some type of gray market, red market kind of thing in exchange of guns for services or whatever. And the trigger happy one is like, I should do it. And he's like, listen, you're the one that knows most about these guns. Is this true or not? And then that could be a situation where the combat heavy one is supposed to be doing the wheeling and dealing, whereas the other character who shouldn't be is like, I'll watch your back, I think. Kind of. I pulled that out of my ass, but yeah. I also intend on making lists of those things. So you'll see these random lists as I come up with the stats. So when making the character, your zipper, your mind, zip drive, thumb drive, cortical stack, that kind of thing. You're going to pick, along with your approaches, vector, arc, access. Every character has them. You're also going to have methods. And your methods, we're getting very late here, are like adverbs. And there's a bunch of methods here. There's like 36 of them. You could make up your own, but these cover a wide gamut of them. I think I made about 80 of them and narrowed it down. And they're adverbs. They are methods are adverbs. Adverbs express manner, place, time, frequency, degree, or level of certainty. They answer questions such as how, in what way, when, where, to what extent, why, or under what circumstances. They're often characterized by the suffix ly at the end. Not all the time, but they, for the most part. And they are, do I have any here that don't have that in ly at the end? No, but there are some that do. And they're for the most part, these seem physical. The first two categories are physicality. The second one are mental, and the last are social. So examples are like swiftly, gracefully, strongly, acrobatically, flexibly, aesthetically, enduringly. Mental, like subtly, observantly, boldly, defensively, forcefully, controllingly, expertly, precisely, strategically. And then things like calmly, deceptively, rousingly, alluringly, honestly, convincingly, welcomingly, apathetically, mechanically. And then you can combine them with actions. So you have methods and actions, or basically adverbs and verbs. And again, there's like physical, social, and I put tech for like technological kind of. But if they apply, then you can use them, kind of like fate. So there's things like assist, disarm, escape, hide, restrain, infiltrate, heal, distract. There's appease, impress, trick, entertain, discredit, threaten, sabotage, charm. There's things like operate, repair, build, erase, disable, decipher, investigate, analyze, intercept, monitor. And so you can combine your method with your action. So what kind of method are you using? Well, I want to aesthetically, um, aesthetically, impress the diplomat, or I want to boldly entertain, or I want to um, observantly aim at, or I want to acrobatically escape from. I want to vigilantly monitor. I want to stubbornly operate. Things like that. Um, they aren't skills. They're methods and actions on how you do a thing, and you get to be creative in combining them together. So yeah, absolutely, they're true. An option that is just bad is not a choice. Um, it, like I said, it depends on the situation, right? So, Drew says, I mean, what is the issue if I hack in arc instead of vector? You are not paying attention to outside events that the game master gets to intrude into the game due to dilemmas. So, if a computer programmer decides to hack a computer and focus on that action, what is in front of them, they will act first, right? But if there are outside elements coming in, they won't notice those things coming in at them. Whether there are guards, or the player won't notice that the building is shutting down, or that the program is that hacking into this program began a counter hack, which is monitoring where the player characters are hiding out in a warehouse or something, or tracing their navigation signals and things like that. Nope, the player is hacking in, and that's what they're doing. Now, anything that comes along in their specific goal, yeah, they get to act first. But everything outside their attention is would hopefully be the purview of their players, of the other players in the game, right? Like, hey, hacker, don't get distracted. You do this thing, right? It's so bad, right? Yeah. No, it's a choice. You just don't make that choice, right? Like, I see. I think there is a chance, albeit by yourself in a vacuum, that you will make a choice that is not a choice, right? It's the OSR. I'm going to run through the dungeon, right? And you go, well, you do realize if you just run through the dungeon, you're probably going to fall into every danger known to man. Is that a choice? Yeah. Is it a bad choice? Probably. But in a role-playing game, if you do that, it doesn't mean it's a good choice. It's a choice, right? So in this manner, if you're playing the game, yeah. Oh, well, then you Drew, then don't do it, right? It's almost like saying, do I? Why would I pick? I don't know what's a good dumb spell. Like, why would I pick Dancing Lights over Fireball? Like, sell me on that choice. I don't know. What's the situation? I could come up with 1,000 situations. If you never think it's a good idea, then don't do it. I'm still not sure why you think, because you think it's a bad idea, that other people will think it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea for you, so that makes perfect sense, right? It makes perfect sense. So anyway, we've come along on this. We'll talk about more about this in the future. Talk about your core and things of that nature. Like, why would people make a decision to do a thing? I don't know. Depends on the situation. We're gonna have plenty of situations. I'm still confused. Like, hey, yes, Kitty. Yes. Your experiences are gonna make you do a thing, right? Right? Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm actually like, I am how do I say this? I would love to do that. I would do a live playthrough on that. Like I'm really like impressed. Like, okay, all right, well, let's see what would happen, right? Because I wouldn't want to. Here's the dumb thing. Why would I even want to? Why would I even want to like set somebody up for failure, right? But then why would I want to set somebody up for success? I just want to play a game, and then you make the choices that you think you would want to make, right? Like one is not necessarily related to the other, but it would be pretty funny though. I think it would be kind of cool. I did tell you that the hacker who's concentrating on one thing and not focused on anything around them, right? That's the choice. It sounds like a bad choice, but it's a good choice if the players are like, no, we need to get this thing done. You're the one to get to do it. Do it by choosing. No, kitty. Choose it. Oh shit. Choose it by doing this thing. Yeah, we see this all the time, right? One character focuses on a thing who doesn't notice other things around them, but focusing on that one thing gets that thing done first, fast, and quickly, right? And that's what Vector would be in a non-combat situation. Hey, the hacker's hacking sets off. There's what's the stuff called? William Gibson, Black Ice, defensive features, and I'm thinking about hackers, but it doesn't. I'm trying to think of something non-combat. Let's get away from hacking. It doesn't matter. So let's just still with the hacking, right? If that player's alone, no, it's not a good idea. If that player's with other people, hell yeah, because then everything that the corporate defense mechanism send against the player, that player gets to act first against those things, but they don't notice the guards coming in the door of the hotel room behind them, right? That's where the other players come in. And is that a choice? Sure. Is that a good choice? Who knows? If the other players are like, no, you focus on this thing while we focus on this other thing, and then we're all distracted. Will that role make the focusing better? It won't make it better. It will make you act first. It allows you to act first. So if whether the player fails or doesn't fail, if something happens to the player directly in front of them, they will be able to act first. You see what I'm saying? So if they're hacking and something happens during the hack that's in the hack, they get to react to that first. So they won't be surprised by anything that happens to them if they're hacking. Anything outside of that, they will be surprised by it. You see what I'm saying? So if defense mechanisms happen during a hack and their person's hacking, this is so funny. They get to act first, so they won't be surprised. But anything outside of that, they would. Yep. Yeah, see, it's right, and it's not necessarily a hack and slash thing, right? Yeah. So in a non-combat situation, non-combat, I guess would it be exploration, something like that? But you get the point, right? If I'm the well, see, that's combat. What's something else? Let's go with okay. We can go with trade negotiations. Two people are trying to compromise and trade. Why would I be in Vector in the trade? And that is, no matter what the person across the table does, I'm not reacting to what they're doing. I know they're going to bring up, I don't know, the cost of spices around Saturn or something like that. And I can get the trade negotiation done faster, quicker, and first before, I don't know, Haba the Jut shows up, who's coming after me, right? I can get it done faster, quicker, more accurately, and I can put the details down there, Drew. Don't get me wrong. Don't think I think this is written in stone. Don't take it that way. But the act is that because I'm focused, the things that come up aren't going to be a surprise. The surprise is all the things that aren't related to the thing. And that comes from dilemmas that are created by other players, whatever the focus of the game is. So if the game is run and gun, yeah, gotta go. So you guys went too long. I thought this would be like 15 minutes long. You guys are funny. So we'll get into this tomorrow. Don't fear not. Guys, we've been a long time here. Have a great one. Thank you very much for spending your valuable time here. I do appreciate it. I don't mind the challenge. Uh, but we'll get into more of this because we'll get away from the dice portion of it. Well, we'll delve into a little bit more tomorrow because we'll talk about more of them shaping the world and how the dice shape the world with the dilemma situation and how do you juggle all of these things that are coming at you, and why would you even bother doing such a thing? Like, why would you set yourself up for failure? It's because of the drama part of it. You'll see. So anyway, guys, have a great one. I will see thee later. Peace and tranquility. Oh, there's one last comment because I want Drew to see, is there anything here? Oops, come on, comments. The torment of eternity. Yeah. So funny. Anyway, guys, have a great. I'll see you later. Peace.